Welcome to Hopeful of Thought. Topic today is the final verdict on Nate Parker, talking about Birth of a Nation. I saw the film today, and before it came out, I was extremely excited to see it. I'm a big history person, love black history. And I noticed, though, that as the release became closer and closer, the conversation was less about Nat Turner and the history of it, but more about Nate Parker, who was alleged to have raped someone 17 years ago. He did go to trial for this. He was acquitted. The other gentleman that he was on trial with was actually found guilty, then he appealed, and so on. Now here's the thing. A lot of people came to me, black and white, surprisingly, and said, you should not see this film. You should boycott this film because we can't support this individual. He was accused of doing something heinous, and he's not been the best since then. Right? That was a lot of the reaction. And whether they were black and white, whether black or white, I noticed that my reaction was different based on race, and I'll get to that later. But what they all had in common is essentially asking me not to see the film is really an effort to say we need to police this issue of violence against women because our criminal justice system actually doesn't really police it. And so we have to make up for that. It's the same dynamic that happened when Ray Rice was, beating up his then fiance. We acted like we were so outraged, but the criminal justice system, the legal system, did nothing to him. Because of that, we asked the NFL to police the issue, right? We know that we have a problem with this issue. It's not being policed well by the criminal justice system, we believe, so we need to find other means to police it. I don't know that protesting art is the way to get there, though. I think the anger and the protest should not be directed toward Nate Parker, but actually a broken criminal justice system to fix it and reform it, because after all, we pay taxes to keep this thing going. I want my money's worth. So here's the thing. You can ask me to skip the film, or we could say, look, we have the ability to elect judges here and there. Why don't we look closely at their record on this issue? We have the ability to vote for politicians. Why don't we prioritize violence against women as a campaign issue and make people respond to us? But we don't do that. We just pretend to be outraged when someone gets caught up in the media. And again, because the issue is not being policed, we want to do something about it. And I get that. But does that produce real systemic change? Not necessarily. Now, we do have a serious problem in this country. Serious. As a black man, I'm aware I'm better off beating my wife than selling marijuana. I'd probably do better in the courts. That's pretty sad. Out of 100 rapists, only about 3 will ever see jail time. There's a clear problem. The system is broken. It's not working. It's not policing the issue, and therefore you're asking me to police the issue by boycotting art. We need to be looking at real concrete change, real reform. I think that protest and that anger should go somewhere different. Now we're left with the issue, though. What do we do with the art that these people create that sometimes are not angels? I got to be honest. When I was approached by whites, I couldn't really have that conversation I couldn't process it. If you're telling me to skip this movie because this person was alleged to have raped someone, well, we know Thomas Jefferson was raping children, but no one is bothering to get rid of the Declaration of Independence. Charlie Sheen has a long history of violence against women, and no one's all that bothered. So, honestly, it was just harder to receive that criticism from white folks. Just being real. Now, had a lot of black people said the same thing. Hey, we need to hold us accountable. Can't support this. Honestly, I'm not sure that I have a great answer. What I do know is this. If we're waiting for choir boys to entertain us, we'll never be entertained. John Lennon, by his own admission, beat up women all the time. James Brown beat his wife all the time. Okay? The Temptations were great, but they were high all the time. We love Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, known adulterers. We just gave Kobe Bryant a year-long farewell tour. So, again, these choir boys, if that's what we're waiting on, I'm not really sure how that's going to go. So I'm just confused about when I'm supposed to care about the morality of the people who entertain us. So if we're not going to get rid of the James Brown records, why are we asking us to ignore this film? It seems a little inconsistent. So I'm just not sure that's the way. So my instinct is to say, why don't we just appreciate the art and let the legal system deal with the morality part? Except when it comes to women, the legal system often doesn't do that. So what do we do in the meantime? I think we should push for reform. We should be adamant about it. But we also have to challenge misogyny on every level in our own little sphere of influence. Like, if you know your dude's cheating, you should probably call him out. That uncle who's just a little too affectionate with the nieces and nephews should probably call it out. When we allow these little pebbles of misogyny to exist, they form big mountains. So, the film was amazing. I loved it. It was an important film. It's art. I think we should consume it. I think we should push for a functional criminal justice system to deal with the morality part.